Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know there's been a pause in the videos, and that's because my relationship is going so well that we actually have a kid on the ground now. So we've got a baby, and believe it or not, kids take up a little bit more time than you expect or can plan for. So we've been getting used to that, but it's going fantastically. But today, I want to talk about something that's incredibly important that every couple faces, and that is fights. Arguments. Now, first of all, remember, it's normal to have a fight. It's normal to have an argument with your partner because, hey, we're all individuals and disagreements come up. But what I'm going to tell you today is how to instantaneously stop a fight. And this is important because, well, yes, discussions and working through fights are essential for a healthy relationship and actually strengthen you guys over the long run. Sometimes they can get out of control, and sometimes they're just not necessary. Really, you can reach the same conclusions without having to go through all the drama, all the stress, all the yelling. And here, we're going to talk about how to do that. So let's get into the good stuff. There's only one reason why couples fight. It's at the core of every disagreement, and realizing that is the first step in pulling that ripcord on an argument. The reason why couples fight is because there is an unmet need. Either you or your partner, or maybe the both of you, has a need is not being met. And in an argument, the two of you are discussing that need, maybe not directly, you may not be realizing it, but you're trying to tell each other, or you're telling them, or your partner's telling you that something is wrong and they need to have their need met. So it follows that the way to stop an argument right away, very quickly, is a two-step process. It really is that simple. It's two steps. And it is, one, recognize the unmet need. Figure out what it is. Then two, meet the need or make a plan on how to meet the need. Once that happens, the fight will stop. Just watch, it will. There may be some residual feelings, but you will have transitioned from the point of argument to cooling down. As soon as you make a plan or you meet that need, you're going to reach that stopping point in a fight. It may take a few minutes or a little while for the tensions and the emotions to de-escalate and cool down. We don't turn off immediately like a light switch, but the process and the active argumentation, the real difficult part of the fight will be over, and you'll be into the winding up period. Okay, so again, it's recognize the need and then basically meet that need. Sounds easy, right? Okay, great. Well, let's all go do something else. No, that's not how it works. Let's talk about what each of those steps is and how to do that successfully. Now, finding out the unmet need. I mean, that sounds stupidly simple, doesn't it? Oh, you're hungry? Why don't you just tell me? Let's go out to dinner. Okay. You are tired? Hey, let's go take a nap. Doesn't that sound easy? I wish it was. I really do. But it's not. A lot of times what happens is we express the fact that we have an unmet need, and I do this all the time myself, through emotion and through statements and accusations. We don't say things like, I'm not feeling loved and I wish you would express to me more that you really care about me. We say, hey, you're spending a lot of time out with your friends and not enough time around the house, or you have to go out again, or you never do anything for me. Can't we go out on a date? When's the last time we went out on a date? The needs are typically expressed in sort of a very challenging, very hostile, very reactionary sort of manner. And that's okay. We're not born knowing how to communicate our feelings. It takes practice. It does take a lot of time to be able to express what it is that's bothering us. We instead tend to get defensive. We tend to get angry. We become irritated with our partner. But really, that's only because we are not receiving something that we need. So what happens is that level of emotion being directed your way tends to make you very defensive. It'll make the recipient of that communication, it'll put them on edge. It'll make them clam up right away. It'll raise their blood pressure. It'll release some stress hormones, some cortisol, and it'll make you defensive. And that's okay too. That's normal. That's the fight or flight mechanism kicking in, and that happens to all of us. So don't worry if you feel like you're being attacked by the other person. If they're not able to express themselves in a calm, open manner, they probably are attacking you. Now, while it's okay to be on the defensive, that's fine. The secret is control how you react. Don't say something back just to hurt the person. Don't fire off a cheap shot because they've upset you. That's not going to be okay. That's not going to help them. It's going to make you feel bad in the long run. It's not really going to do anything at all to get this resolved. Instead, what you want to do is you want to dig deeper and find out, look for what the unmet need is. How do you do this, right? That's the golden question. How do you find out what that unmet need is? Well, people are not super sophisticated mystery novels. We're not a deep well of unknowns. So start with asking your partner, hey, what's wrong? What's bothering you? What do you want? What is it that's causing all this stress and all this emotion? Ask them what they want. Just flat out ask them. Now, they may or may not tell you. They may not know, believe it or not, they may actually not know what's bothering them. They just may know that they don't feel good, something's bothering them, and they're arguing with you, but they may not know why. So if they tell you, fantastic. So for example, they're saying, if they say something to you like, oh, you don't spend enough time here at home, or you don't help out enough with the baby, that's what's really bothering me. Okay, then we can jump to step 2, which I'll talk about in just a second. But the most common answer is going to be an accusation or an observation. Most likely they're going to come back to you and say, I really don't like it when you just go off to your room and close the door and leave me out here with the kid. That's not telling you anything directly, but it is telling you something indirectly. So in those cases, unless they specifically say what's bothering them, look for the negative space or what's behind the message that they're telling you. So for example, if they're saying, I don't like it when you go off to your room and close the door, or I hate it when you spend so much time on your phone, or why do you go out with your friends so much, or I don't feel loved, what they're saying is, when you go to your room, you're not with me. You're not out here helping me with something, the baby, dishes, housework, whatever. I don't like it when you spend so much time on your phone. I'm not receiving your time. The phone is. The phone is receiving your time. I'm not receiving your time. Or something else isn't receiving your time. The garbage needs to be taken out, but you're on your phone. So your time is being spent with the phone instead of somewhere else. But here, the key is to look for the other side of that communication. If they say something, take it one step further, and what does that mean? What does the consequences of what they're telling you actually mean? And once you figure that out, once you start to ask them enough questions or they make enough statements and you can figure out that pattern, this step is done. You're ready to move on to phase 2. But before we get there, think of it this way. People are not going to walk into a mechanic and say, I think I have a rock in my front left caliper, or I think my brake is so worn down, the pads are actually down to the wear bars and that's causing squealing. No, they're going to walk in and say, my brakes squeak. It's making noise, or it's making a grinding sound. And they may or may not even know which end of the car it's coming from. It's up to the mechanic to diagnose it further and figure out what the exact problem is. And that's what you're doing here. You're being a mechanic in your relationship and diagnosing what that unmet need is by your partner and trying to come up with a solution for it. Let's get into this second part, meeting or making a plan to meet the unmet need. Now, the really difficult thing here, and what you have to watch out for, is you want to meet your partner's need without sacrificing any needs of your own. Now, that may sound like it's egotistical or self-centered, but trust me, it's not. It's better for the long run, and you're setting yourself and your partner and your relationship up for success if you find a balance between what they have to have and what you have to have. Let's play it out. Let's play out both sides of this. Let's take a look at what will happen if your partner's need doesn't get met. Over time, that unmet need will result in frustration, then resentment, and then finally pulling away emotionally of that partner. Now, how much and to what severity depends on just how much they're bothered by this. But all the little things in a relationship add up. So one unmet need here, even small, and let's say a dozen other unmet needs somewhere else, those are going to add up to be a pretty significant toll on the relationship. So you want to try to put out these fires and get those needs met whenever possible. Let's take a look at the other side of this. Let's say your partner has an unmet need. You meet that need, but at the cost of giving something up that's important to you. In other words, you're sacrificing yourself. You're becoming the martyr. What's that going to do? Now you're going to develop frustration, resentment towards your partner and eventual pulling away from your partner. It's going to be the same type of emotions, but on your side. And again, the more you sacrifice yourself and don't let your needs get met, those are going to add up and cause a real toll on the relationship as well. So what you have to do is you have to find a balancing act. That's the secret. That's how you meet that unmet need in a healthy way. Now, how do you do this? How do you meet that unmet need in a balanced manner? First of all, you talk about it. You say, hey, I believe that you're feeling this, or hey, I think that you want this to happen. Well, I would like this to happen. How can we compromise? How can we reach a deal? So for example, let's say your partner says to you, oh, I don't like it because you're always going out with your friends, or you're always spending time on your phone. Well, you know what? Going out with your friends and spending time on your phone is important to you. You wouldn't do it if it wasn't, but you have to do it as much. What if you said to your partner, oh, instead of going out with my friends 4 days a week, I'll go out 2 or 3 days a week. Will that work? Ask them if that works. It's really that easy. Come up with an idea and ask them. Or how about, well, what if I'm only on the phone for like 15 minutes and I'll put it down for like another 15? Or what if I'm only on the phone for 5 minutes and then I'll spend the rest of the day with you? Or whatever the correct time is. Get what you need out of what's going on and ask them if that's an okay compromise to see if it meets what they need. It's just talk. Have open lines of communication. And speaking of communication, good open communication is one of the healthiest things that you can have in your relationship. It'll get rid of problems. It'll prevent problems from coming up in the first place. So see my video here about how to have good communication between you and your partner. It's very important. Now, as a bonus tip, if you want to take things to the advanced level, if you're not sure exactly what it is that needs to be done, ask your partner, have them tell you. So for example, if they're saying, oh, I don't feel like you love me that much, ask them, well, what can I do? What can I say or do to make you feel like I love you? Because I really do. I just don't know how to express it. Tell them you don't know how to. Let them know what it is that you're unsure of and have them help give you that solution. That'll go a long way. They will feel heard. You'll be able to work on the problem together. And then once you reach a plan, you can go ahead and work on that plan as a couple. It builds solidarity and will resolve whatever the unmet need is. It's a fantastic tool. Now, if they say they're not sure what you can do to meet their need, or they don't know how to have what they want resolved, try different things. Research it further, ask friends, talk to a therapist, try to get specific answers. I guarantee you there is a specific answer for the problem you're facing out there somewhere. You just have to find it. Now finally, I'm going to give you a secret that not a lot of people know about, but it is a tremendous tool to have in your tool belt. It will help so much, not just here, but in almost every other part of your relationship as well. Get this knowledge, write it down if you have to, put it away in your back pocket and pull it out when you need to. When you make this plan with your partner, when you try to meet the need or whatever else you're working with in your partner, ask them this. Say, hey, I've got this idea. Can we try this? And if it doesn't work, can we change it later? Give yourself permission and get permission from your partner to make changes if what you first try doesn't work. Because the odds are what you first try isn't going to be perfect. You'll need to modify it. Maybe you need to take a different route, whatever. But what's really happening is you're releasing stress from being locked into a set course. In other words, you're not confined to whatever plan that you set in place. Neither is your partner. You're not locked into a certain decision. Each of you are giving each other permission to be flexible down the road. And you're also giving each other permission to speak up and say, hey, this is or isn't working. Can we alter this? Can we be a team and change what we're doing? That freedom is huge. Okay, remember, ending a fight instantaneously, just right away, is as simple as recognizing what the unmet need is and then figuring out a plan to meet that need. That's all you have to do. That's it. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos if you want some awesome tips and advice on how to have an advanced long-term relationship.